Всем привет, продолжаем проходить игру Bastion.
Laura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already.
Так, надо снять вот восстанавливать здоровье, это сложно. Ой, что-то не... Носить урон при физическом контакте. Что такое интересное?
There's something we had to do before going after that last shard.
Пещера Зултана.
Zoltan's Hollow is the Ura's border blockade. At least it used to be. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. The Ura's border blockade ain't much to speak of, but it's got a nice view. He finds his moment to strike. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy even. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the Calamity rocks slink back into the ground.
Ну вообще мне что-то не очень. Может, и апгрейдить можно?
Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. Those rocks are like tumors. The same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion.
Менять, я думаю, не надо, потому что уровень заточен под эту логику.
Sick their little rattletail pets on the kid.
Ай.
Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. It's not the time to get reckless. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. They're easy targets. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow.
Да что ж такое? Да что такое?
Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. keep hanging on to the barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening.
Сюда как попасть?
Kids picking the whole place apart, piece by piece.
Типа секрет нашел какой-то.
Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid. They underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Those old souls should have got to know us better. Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Maybe I should have trusted him. Told him everything I knew. Did the Ura really think we just turn around and walk away? Ura. They have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon.
Что это такое?
All those dreams, snuffed out in the calamity, will bring him back. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for the scout to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Part of the rippling walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you?
Да, что у нас тут?
Folks say Mender mead's good for you. It's like an herb garden in full bloom. If there's anything that blade can't split open, a cannon ought to do it. step to learning the Calamity Canon is knowing about the machinery overrides. Now, who would have taught a kid to do a thing like that? Good thing I didn't throw away the manual. Don't look down. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zulf, it'll all be over.
Обсерватория Творцов.
Mancer Observatory. Now there's a sneaky place, overlooking the Tassel terminals themselves. The Ura probably didn't know they were being watched from Mancer Observatory. It was the perfect spot to test something no one's meant to know about. Only trouble was, something about the place drove the windbags crazy. Best damn well clear of that impact. Hefty thing like that takes getting used to. Gotta point her in the right direction. Whatever gets in her way is in a world of hurt, but she ain't the fastest thing. When the windbags caused enough trouble, the Mancers conducted their most secretive research far east of the city. Cause a lot of collateral damage with her if you ain't careful. The more crowded it gets, the more trouble you can cause with a single shot. She's designed to be fine-tuned, just need the proper parts. Left of the observatory when the smoke clears.
Мало что остался от обсерватории.
If the power of the Calamity is safe in anybody's hands, it's safe in his. Take my word for it. Don't ever drop one of those. The Mancers, they knew everything, even if it cost them. That experiment was a rousing success.
Странно. Даже не подходили.
If only the Mancers could have seen the kid playing around with their favorite toy. It's hard to sleep easy these days, what with everything that's happened. Zolf, very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again, for the last time. They met on the worst day of Zulf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zulf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tassel terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylonian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zulf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. Missionary passed away, Zulf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Ceylondia. Zulf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen, and listen they did. He advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. Don't worry about it. However, Zulf felt he could only do so much in the Tassel terminals. He needed Ceylondia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land.
Нужно брать эти пистолеты.
Could use a little shut-eye, I suppose. The calamity took everything from us. Might be it took even more from Zolf. They met on the worst day of Zolf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It's all right.
Дебильные птицы. Почему?
It wasn't the first time Zolf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him.
Да что такое-то?
He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tassel terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylonian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zolf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy.
взрываются, не взрываются этой штукой.
When the missionary passed away, Zulf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia.
Ой, что-то не
That story don't end well anyway. Zulf had difficulty telling me his story.
Потом.
Haven't heard it. I could understand why. They met on the worst day of Zulf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zulf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tassel terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylonian missionary living there. Once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zulf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. Don't worry about it. When the missionary passed away, Zulf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. That story don't end Zolf. Very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again. For the last time. They met on the worst day of Zolf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zolf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tassel terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylonian missionary living there. Once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zolf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. Missionary passed away, Zolf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Ceylon.
Toss this up.
Zolf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen. And listen they did. advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. However, Zolf felt he could only do so much in the Tassel terminals. He needed Caelondia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land. The journey was hard, but he knew how to fend for himself. And then at last, Zolf saw the rippling walls on the horizon. He endeared himself to city folk straight away, and in turn he fell in love with the city and its people. One in particular. This young lady was fascinated by the Ura, but she never met anyone like Zolf. She told him she knew all the city's best-kept secrets. Don't worry about it. The Hanging Gardens was their favorite spot. It was there that Zolf clasped her hands and proposed in proper Caelondian style. celebrated with his friends long into the night. Joy and revelry like he'd never seen. Too bad he couldn't remember it all. Well, anyway, he woke up alone underground inside the Celandian War Memorial, built like...
Походу эту пушку большую надо. Обалдеть, его честно надо пройти эту штуку.
What I wouldn't give for a good night's sleep. Zolf had difficulty telling me his story. Haven't heard it. I could understand why. They met on the worst day of Zolf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zolf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tassel terminals, so he took to stealing from a Celandian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zolf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. Missionary passed away, Zolf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Celandia. Zolf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen. And listen they did. He advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. However, Zolf felt he could only do so much in the Tassel terminals. He needed Caelandia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land.
Что? День.
The journey was hard, but he knew how to fend for himself. And then at last, Zolf saw the rippling walls on the horizon. He endeared himself to city folk straight away, and in turn he fell in love with the city and its people. One in particular. This young lady was fascinated by the Ura, but she never met anyone like Zolf. She told him she knew all the city's best-kept secrets. The Hanging Gardens was their favorite spot. It was there that Zolf clasped her hands and proposed in proper Caelandian style.
Oh.
This is all right. He celebrated with his friends long into the night. Joy and revelry like he'd never seen. Too bad he couldn't remember it all. inside the Ura-Celandian War Memorial, built like an Ura-den. But something was wrong. Emerged from that hole in the ground into a waking nightmare. Everything that wasn't gone was twisted upside down.
Вау.
The world was frozen, air thick with ash. What few faces he saw on the street stared back at him with gray and vacant eyes. He found his wife-to-be asleep inside her home, but when he reached out to her, she joined with all the ashes in the sky. And so Zolf returned to where he proposed in the Hanging Gardens, and there he stood, as if the gods would answer him.
Да, сложновато и...
The kid's gonna be okay. As for that man, who knows?
Нужен терминал Тазала.
The Tazzle terminals, all that's left of the Ura civilization, and the last stop on his little journey. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. Just needs to get that shard from Zolf and come on home. The calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zolf went back there.
Да что такое? Как ты здесь оказался?
place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the calamity. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? All we can do is sit and talk. Well, all of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? Let's see it. There's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. What happens to Zolf no longer matters. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. supposed to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity, the way things were before this story. Good times, right? Be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. You follow me? Little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at them. No mistakes. Come on, keep your chin up. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say.
Pass this up. Gas.
Who am I kidding? Look, there's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Designed the place, but that's beside the point.
какой-то.
There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out, we couldn't repair it. We could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off away from here.
Let's go.
Heavy, ain't it? Of course, that would mean no going back. Ever. But then again, that way all of us could leave the city. Together. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? All they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Every shred of decency, though, has he? For Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. Follow Zolf all the way home.
Ух ты. Давай возьмем.
I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
I set my sail, fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, clouds are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. I see your star, you left it burning for me. Mother, I'm here. Eyes open wide, feel your heart and it's glowing.
Kid's probably dealt with Zolf by now.
I'm welcome.
It reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. Can't believe you brought him back again. Bet you had to do more than say please this time. First things first, kid. The Bastion's waiting. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions. Hey, kid. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You could save all those creatures here and now. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you.
We made it. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the calamity, not before. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Zulf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes.
О, еще лага. Настоящий просто. Ладно, давай установим.
It's finished. Now, sit tight. It'll be over soon. No matter what happens next, you're done good. I suppose all that's left is to try and remember this moment. The Bastion's gonna take us back to a better time. Before any of this. Maybe we'll forget everything you've done. And each other. Though after all we've been through, I find that hard to believe. So long, kid. Maybe I'll see you in the next one. Zealandia, we're coming home.
I set my sail, fly the wind, it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, climb to make it wait for me.
Супер. смысле новая игра? Да, посмотрим, какие есть интересные.
I'll see you in the next one. Proper story is supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky. He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble. Ground forms up under his feet as it pointing away. He don't stop to wonder why. Finds his lifelong friend just lying in the road. Well, it's a touching reunion. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. In the calamity. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a gas fella, forced out from underground. Kid pops him good. Starts to feel his bruises, though. An old repeater falls out of the sky. Ain't a gift from the gods, but it'll have to do. Gotta hold her still to spin up the chamber. Kid's worked up quite a thirst by now, so that fountain looks real inviting. Sometimes you just need a drink. A school of squirts tunnels up around him. Must have fled here from the mines. Kid finds a memento from a girl he knew. Always used to fancy her. He sets foot inside one of Zealandia's famous watering holes. Wait, haven't I? Anyway, Ronde's place just brings back memories. Ronde always wanted his ashes scattered here. Then Kid finds his trusty shield. But just as he's getting a handle on it, the security takes him for a petty thief. Clang! Shield saves his hide. Windbags start turning up for last call. More squirts start coming out of the woodwork. A big old fella pops out in front of the kid. Kid sees the way to the Bastion out the window. It's a bit of a drop. He gets a good look at things on his way down. He lands on top of a breaker's bow, and it ain't broke. Kid spies a good perch for some target practice. Knows he should draw the string all the way back. The kid pockets a memento from a breaker, once the fastest man in the land. And then he falls to his death. I'm just fooling. Good news is the emergency defenses still work. Bad news is they're aiming for the kid. Picks up a few pointers from a dusty old tome. He's a mighty fast learner. He finds the distillery right next to the arsenal. Tough part of town. One sip of the spirits in that distillery, and the kid'll feel like a new man. The arsenal's where the kid can pick the best tools for the job. Some of them squirts birthing like crazy in a couple of corn pins. Kid better watch his step. That one was Mars, the tutor. Once taught the kid good manners. He never used them, though. An old ferry barge sends the kid on his way. The Bastion's real close now. Takes a chunk of alloy. The smell of barley and spoiled blueberries fills the air. Scumbags. Kid maybe shouldn't have done what he just did. Kid puts him out of his misery. Robs a scumbag of his last meal. He finds the core to the wharf district. He steals the city's heart. Might as well. Kid has a feeling he better get a move on. The place is starting to fall. See, that core kid took was the only thing making this particular rock stay afloat. Kid just keeps running. Somersault like crazy. last, the Skyway's in sight. Whisks him where he needs to go. Now the kid sees something stranger still. His mind races. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds another. He finds me. We talk for a spell. There's a bit of the Bastion's power in that crest, enough to point the way to the cores. All I tell him is to set that core of his on the monument there,
Гордизану все
and
остальное.
watch. I try to let the kid down
Ну,
gently.
посмотрим. Ну,
This is the Bastion, all right. Except no one else showed up. And just like that, the Bastion comes alive. Starts growing again. Growing stronger. Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid ponders what to build. The lost and found. Here, kid takes fragments of the old world and makes them whole again.
здесь.
Kid don't know what's out there waiting for him. The Skyway. Now the kid can ride the wind to distant lands.
Или все-таки, по-моему, можно. Сейчас посмотрим.
Now he lands at the intersection between bad and wrong. Ought to be a core down one of these twisted streets. But which one? And there it is. But it's locked down tight in an alloy cage. A blustery old foreman's keeping his fellas in check, almost like he's showboating for the crowd. And now there's a new marshal in town. He hears the whole place groan, but it's too tough to fall. Might as well check the other side streets before leaving this hole. He comes back, just like I knew he would. The core hums in his pack. The monument's calling for it. Kid does it again. Only fair he decides what we build next.
Вот.
Behold the Pantheon.
Так. Рофус.
Rothus. Oleg. Garmuth. Messiah. Udrig. Pith. Lemaine. Hensa. The gods never liked competing for people's affections. Akobi. Javel.
Уж посмотрел. Или каких богов все. Очень интересная игра, рекомендую пройти. Всем спасибо, кто посмотрел и посмотрит. Больше проходить не буду. Посмотрим на видео на ютубе другие концовки. Продолжим играть. Всем спасибо.